Hey everyone, SoranotRoxas here, and I know what you're saying, new location, yes, but why exactly am I filming this location? Well, to be honest, I'm actually doing a project for my filmmaking class, so I already had the tripod set up, so I was like, you know what? While I'm doing this, I'm just going to stop for a minute here and then just do a review on the movie that I saw today, which was Black Mass. Okay, so finally, I got a chance to see it. And for those of you that don't know what Black Mass is about, it's about Jimmy Whitey Bulger, who was a big gangster in South Boston during like the early 80s, late 70s. And it's just like his rise to power and how the Italians were removed from that area. The Mafia slowly started to, FBI slowly started to crack down on the Mafia, well, big time. And how the Mafia got to move out of there, and how the Irish gang sort of came in, swooped in. And Whitey Bulger was basically the cause of this in South Boston. So anyway, besides that, before I get into the actual review, there was this guy that was in the theater with us earlier today, and oh my god. He kept getting up and walking back and forth, and it was freaking hilarious. Because I actually brought my mother there because she loves Johnny Depp. So I took her there for her birthday. I actually wanted to go see the movie last week once I got off of work, but I didn't have a chance to because, you know, bus schedules and things like that, and I promised to take her myself. So I didn't know how good the movie was going to be, although it was getting good reviews. But I didn't want to, you know, like go see it and then want to go pay to see it again if it wasn't that good. Luckily it was, but I'm gonna get to the movie in a second. So yeah, so this guy just keeps getting up, and he's just like, he just gets up and he just walks around. He's doing this in his chair, and we was just like, what the hell is he on? Is he on like bath salts or something, or whatever the hell the new drug is? And he just stretched. He did some push-ups and everything. It was freaking ridiculous, and it was bothering the hell out of my mother, man. And me personally, I was so into the movie that I literally couldn't stop. So, excuse me. But she taps on my shoulder and she's like, "Did you see this guy behind us just doing this crazy shit?" And I'm just like, oh, well, yeah, screw him. You know, I'm watching a movie here. You know, that's basically all I did. So yeah, actually reviewing the movie now. That was my little theater experience. But going towards the movie. How is the movie? It's good. I think what does it have on Rotten Tomatoes now? A 75%? I think that's pretty good. I could have possibly pushed that up to an 80, but that's just personally me. You know, on about as many stars as I can possibly give it, out of 1 out of 4 stars. I would say it gets like at least a 3 or 3.5 from me. It turned out to be really good. It wasn't straight out of Compton good, believe it or not, if we're talking about biopics here. And they was just as long. I was more into Straight Outta Compton than I was into this. Because more of the mafioso scene, we know what's going to happen with that and how that was going to play out towards the end. And of course, there are a couple of surprises depending on the people who turn on him, and for the people or person that remains loyal to him. You're kind of surprised by that, but otherwise, it's played okay enough. There are a couple of twists and turns, not really that big though. Sort of ones you kind of see coming, and nothing. But it does at the same time separate itself from like other so-called mafia movies that try to play off this realistic story. Excuse me. That try to you know, tell a story about a real person and fail in comparison to doing so. This is one of those. Let's tell a story about a real person that really happened to him, and it works out. And this is something that works out. So really, really good acting. I have to say this right now. Johnny Depp, fantastic. If he doesn't get the Oscar for this, it's ridiculous. He was possibly too good for the movie. Like I said, the movie was good overall. But his performance was really killer in this. Like, I really felt like he was this guy. I was freaking afraid of him, man. You be afraid of him for one moment, and you feel sorry for him. There's a part, spoiler alert, I don't think I'm giving any of this away because this really happened. You can look it up anytime. His son dies and he starts going a little bit crazier. And then his mother passes away. He getting even crazier than that. And oh my God, Johnny Depp tore up this role, man. Every bit that he was in was so engaging and so investing into it that I literally could not look away from his performance. And you know, the other actors did good too. Joel Edgerton, I think, that plays his friend, well, John Connolly, in the he's an FBI agent, crooked FBI agent in there. You feel for this guy too, and you kind of want him to get out, but you know he's not necessarily going to get out of it all the way, and there's going to be some consequences to what he's doing as he has this undisputed loyalty towards Jimmy Bulger. Johnny Depp's character, and because of that, they grew up as friends. It was Jimmy, John, and Billy Bulger, who's played by Benedict Cumberbatch, who does a really good South Boston accent. That's another thing. These guys aren't South Boston. I'm pretty sure that Johnny Depp, Kevin Bacon, and Benedict Cumberbatch are not from South Boston, and you would be so amazed that they're not, because they sound so good. And yeah, like I said, Joel Edgerton, Kevin Bacon too, and Benedict Cumberbatch all do really well. Even Dakota Johnson, who's only in for like the first half of the movie, and it just kind of disappears. I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. Dakota Johnson, you might know her from 50 Shades of Grey. You know, I reviewed that movie, so I know her from 50 Shades of Grey. That was the first thing I've seen her in. And I've always said, I was like, I wish I could see her in something else, something good, because she seemed like she was a good actor. Actually, the guy who played William Gray in the movie seemed like he was a pretty good actor too. And I was like, wow, these somewhat good actors are in a really shitty movie. So it was nice to see. It was nice to see her in this, and she plays the wife of Jimmy Bulger, of Johnny Depp's character, and she does a really fine job. There's a part when they're in the hospital because the son is sick. Like I said, he ends up passing away, and I'm not giving anything away on that. And there's a powerful scene between both of them, a very high tension scene, and she's like, you know what, I don't want my son to live like this, to be, you know, sort of crippled for life and have to be on life support and everything like that. His fever is getting worse, and he's not going to pull out of it. We just have to accept the fact that we're not going to pull out of it, that he's not going to pull out of it. And so she's like, you know, I think I want to pull the plug on him, and I will personally do it myself. And you can see it's still kind of tearing her up. But, you know, and then Johnny Depp's character, Whitey Bulger, he's just like, how dare you? You're going to pull the plug on my son. Who the hell do you think? You're an evil person. This guy who single-handedly murdered 11 people, strangled 2 of them, killed 1 of them in broad freaking daylight, is just like, oh, you're the monster. So she's like, don't you ever, you have no right to call me the monster, and for what the shit that you do. And I look, you know, the other way on that. Yeah, really good scene. Unfortunately, she is gone halfway through the movie. I am not kidding. Almost every wife, or basically every female character, is gone through like halfway or a little bit over halfway of the film. The film's like 2 hours and some minutes. By the time it gets to like an hour and 40 minutes, like all the female characters are literally gone. There's this one weird, creepy scene where Johnny Depp's character is talking to Joel Edgerton's wife. She's sick. She's faking to be sick because she doesn't want to be around Johnny Depp's character, which doesn't surprise me. He's freaking insane. Is the camera crooked? The camera's not crooked, is it, guys? Not like I can hear you. But yeah, the camera looks a little bit crooked here. It looks fine on the screen here, so I don't know what's up. Okay, so anyway, so she's like, you know, no, I'm not feeling too well. I'm just gonna go upstairs and rest for a while. So Johnny Depp character goes upstairs, and of course everyone's too afraid to stop him. and he's just like, oh, let me feel your face, you know. Let me feel your head to see if you're warm. He's like, oh no, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. He literally does that. He just starts wiping his hand all over her face, all in her shit, and he starts putting his hand around her neck, and oh my God, it was such a, it was a tense scene. And after that, she's no longer in the movie. So I don't know what happened to her. Nobody seems to know what happened to these women. They just sort of disappear. It's like the movie just kind of forgets about them. And I don't know if that was intentional or not. Maybe they didn't add anything onto the story after that. But it's kind of weird for the movie to introduce these characters and then just like drop them off. Same thing with some of the people that hang out with Whitey too. They just sort of kind of disappear one scene, then they appear like 3 or 4 scenes later, and you're like wow, I kind of forgot about that guy. So you do kind of forget about the lesser people a little bit easier. But then it all comes down to a point where, you know, people start ratting him out, trying to rat him out. He will murder them. He will get information from John Connolly, who was an FBI agent at the time, and, you know, they'll start. And he'll tell them, yeah, so-and-so has been talking to us, you know, us the feds. And Johnny Depp will be like, really? And then that person will be dead the next day. And, of course, it's a major coincidence, you know, everyone doesn't, for some reason, doesn't figure out that it's him that's doing this, until one agent decides to come there. He's like, okay, we're just going to cut the bullshit. I'm bringing this guy in. He has taken over Boston. He has taken over everywhere. We finally got rid of the Italians. The mafia is done with. But now we have to deal with this Irish gang who's just popping up all over everywhere, murdering people and just getting away with it. And, this guy was so ruthless that he will literally murder his own friends if he thinks that they ratted him out, talk to him in any sort of rude way, and just totally just has no regard for human life whatsoever. I wouldn't mess with this guy. This guy was ruthless, and this movie portrays him so well in being like that. But there are some, like I said, a couple of parts when, you know, his son dies, his mother dies, you kind of feel for him. When everything comes crashing down, you know, the fall of Whitey Bulger, you feel kind of sad for him. There's this sort of scene where he's like, when he's talking to his brother, I'm not going to give it away. Benedict Cumberbatch being Johnny Depp's brother, by the way, and they both play off each other pretty well. You know, you got 2 really good actors in the same scene together. It's nice seeing them together. And yeah, it's sort of like that. You know, he's talking to him and he's like, you know, reminiscing about when they were kids. Some emotional stuff there, here and there, but it's far and in between. And most of the rest of it is just, you know, talking business. So it's different in that regard as far as, you know, the same old mafioso movies we see all the time. And, you know, it's always just be about Italian Mafia, never anybody else. It's nice to see, aside from where the Italian Mafia are sort of like the minority in terms of how much we're going to put on them in the emphasis of story. Even the guy that the FBI was trying to track down, the big Italian mafia boss, mob boss. Don't know why I just did that, quotations. The big mob boss that they've been trying to track down for a long time. When they finally get him, that's like literally the second time he's shown throughout the entire movie. And they mention them a lot. You know, they keep mentioning them as Whitey Bulger keeps building up his army. And, you know, that's, like I said, that's the second time you see him, and then that's it. He goes off to jail. That's it. And you're just like, wow. You know, there's not much of a big emphasis on the Italian Mafia, and the Italian Mafia owned a lot of territory. So that was different. So it was nice seeing that little difference between that. They put a couple of more spins on it than more of the older movies that have done this whole mafioso thing before, and I kind of like that for it. Like I said, what I didn't like was the fact that Somebody keeps texting me. I don't know who keeps texting me. I'm doing a review right now. Yeah, I'm throwing the phone over there. So what I didn't like is that certain characters would disappear after a while. They would just leave the movie entirely. Like, okay, we filmed your scene for today. Don't ever come back. You'll get the check in the mail once the movie goes to the theaters. So yeah, and they're really good actors, you know. And like I said, the female character's gone. His mother's death was just kind of sudden, out of nowhere, and it would be like this one scene, you know, with John Connolly, and then bam, he's at a funeral somehow. Like, what the hell? It's like no indication that she was ill or anything like that. Just happens. Seemed like towards the end they took their time with the movie, but it seemed like towards the end they was trying to, you know, rush it out to the point where they say, okay, you know what, we're not going to do anymore. We're just going to put up the words and say, here's what happened to so-and-so after they caught him, or after he gave information to the police. And even though what's-her-name committed murder, he's still walking the streets, and, you know, that sort of thing. I don't know if the real Whitey Bulger is going to see this movie, but he is portrayed as half monster and half sympathetic monster. Like some points, like I say, you do feel sorry for him, but at the same time, you know he's a psychopath. He's completely insane. And if there was ever a person that deserved to be in prison, it was him. Of course, they caught him when he was an old man back in 2011, so it's like no point now. But anyway, so yeah, I do like the movie. I think there was really good acting, great cinematography, very beautiful shots of Boston. Really beautiful shots. There would be a shot of the city. There was like multiple shots of the city, but then they would show the shots from like the streets and everything like that. Very nice shots of Boston, man. It makes Boston look really pretty, and even their so-called projects look really nice, and you kind of want to visit these areas, and you're just like, wow, you know, and Boston is literally right up the street from me, so, you know, it's like right over there. I can see it from here. It's that sort of thing. But yeah, it's nice seeing that they got some really good shots of Boston. So cinematography is really good here. I already talked about the acting is superb. The makeup they did on Johnny Depp and stuff like that. Wow, really crazy. Like, he got these like crazy ass eyes and the hair thinning and everything at the top. Really nice stuff. They make him look even, you know, really old. I'm trying to think of something else that I didn't like in this movie, and just sort of like certain scenes that just seem to be drive-by scenes. They come out of nowhere, or characters just disappearing halfway through. It kind of made me wonder if they was trying to build up to something, or that was just it with that character. It was just it with that character, and I was just like, oh, you know, that's kind of sad. You know, they was doing pretty well. They was, you know, you got really good actors for this movie. Why wasn't they still there? Or how come we didn't, you know, get some type of confirmation of what happened to them afterwards when we was rounding up everybody? Also, the movie sort of switches focus from, you know, it's not like Straight Outta Compton where it kept the focus on all of the main characters there. Here, it's just sort of like, okay, we have like all these players, and we have all of our ducks lined up in a row. Here's Kevin Bacon, here's Benedict Cumberbatch, Johnny Depp, Joe Edgerton, Dakota Johnson, his Joe Edgerton's wife. You know, here's all these characters playing in. Johnny Depp's bodyguards, his friends and stuff like that. You know, here's all of our ducks lined up in a row. And besides the ones that got killed, that literally got killed off on screen or off screen, rarely get kills off screen. A lot of the kills are shown, and that's actually kind of cool. Besides that, certain character, it just takes focus from everyone else and just sort of goes on to Jimmy Bulger and John Connolly, and that's it. It just sort of stays on them, like on the last part of the movie, the last half of the movie, and it's just the last quarter, I should say, of the movie. Just stays on them, and it's just like, what the hell happened to everybody else? well, we know some of them become formats, but other people, you know, like his brother literally doesn't show up until later on. It's like he gets like a couple of scenes later on and that's it. It's just like, why did you switch the focus from that? And even then, his scenes will intercept with Johnny Depp's character as well as Joel Edgerton's character. So it was more on emphasis on them than anything. I just found that kind of weird how they just like stop with certain characters. And if you're gonna do a biopic, you need to continue that line that you set up. You need to keep going down the line and shoot your ducks when you know. And let the people know that you're shooting your ducks down from the road, you know? You know what I mean, you know? They should have some type of indication if you're going to get rid of a character. Okay, besides that, yep, pretty good movie. I do recommend it, especially if you like Johnny Depp acting and you really want him to come back. This is possibly one of the best movies he's done since, like, God. One of my favorite Johnny Depp movies is Sweeney Todd, man, and oh man, this is like a Sweeney Todd performance. This was really good, and I hope he gets an Oscar or at least nominated again for like the 4th time. But he should definitely get something for this, and everyone here definitely deserves something. This was really well acted film. So yeah, besides that. South Boston was crazier than what I thought. People getting murdered in broad daylight. It's crazy stuff. Okay, so besides that, guys, thanks for watching. That is my review on Black Mass. If you haven't seen it, go out and see it. It's definitely a good flick. If you want to bring somebody with you, go ahead and do that. Like I said, it's 2 hours long. It's pretty long, but everything in it is engaging. It wasn't like something like Jurassic World where I was... And I like Jurassic World, by the way, but it wasn't something like that where I'm like, okay, this film doesn't need to be 2 hours. Where it, you know, just kind of dragged off to the end. No. They knew the right time to where to end it, to where to begin a certain plot point. It was very well done. Really, pretty good editing at certain parts. Like I said, some scenes would just be like, okay, they're in this room with the FBI and then just straight to the funeral. The fuck? Where did the hell that come from? Okay guys, that's it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, and take care.